The US has warned North Korea of catastrophic consequences if it participates in the war in Ukraine. The US military and diplomatic circles have both warned of catastrophic consequences for North Korean troops if they join the war in Ukraine. The US ambassador to the United Nations issued a particularly stern warning directed at North Korean soldiers. The US and South Korea have jointly called on North Korea to withdraw its forces from Russia. US declares North Korean troops a target if they enter combat. The White House has stated that North Korean forces will become legitimate military targets if they engage in combat against Ukraine. On October 30, 2024, US Secretary of Defense Austin reiterated this position and added that North Korean soldiers would suffer casualties by entering the conflict alongside Russia. Currently, the US has not observed North Korean soldiers actively participating in combat to assist Russia. However, US Secretary of State Blinken warned on October 31 that if these forces engage in combat or provide support against Ukraine, they will become legitimate military targets. Meanwhile, US Ambassador to the United Nations Robert Wood declared bluntly before the UN Security Council that if North Korean forces enter Ukrainian territory, they will face catastrophic consequences. The US and South Korean defense chiefs have both urged North Korea to withdraw its forces from Russia. On October 30, US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin stated at the Pentagon, "I urge them to withdraw their forces from Russia." South Korean Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun had previously made a similar appeal. Although Secretary Austin called for North Korea to pull back its troops, he noted that it is highly likely that Moscow will move forward with deploying North Korean forces against Ukraine. South Korean Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun expressed concern that North Korea's deployment of troops to Russia could escalate security threats on the Korean peninsula. He believes this could lead to Pyongyang seeking technology transfers from Russia to bolster its weapons program, including tactical nuclear weapons, intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, and reconnaissance satellites, in exchange for sending troops to aid Russia. Russia and North Korea have already deepened their political and military alliance amid the Russia-Ukraine conflict. However, the potential deployment of North Korean forces against Ukrainian troops represents an escalation that has drawn significant international attention. North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hui was in Moscow on October 30 for strategic discussions with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Meanwhile, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi held talks with a Russian Deputy Foreign Minister visiting Beijing to discuss the Ukraine crisis. Russian President Putin has neither confirmed nor denied reports of North Korean troops being deployed on Russian soil. North Korea has denied sending troops to Russia, though a North Korean deputy foreign minister stated that, if true, such an action would still align with international norms. Russian ambassador to the UN Vasily Nebenzia stated on October 30 that North Korean forces are not present on the front lines, accusing both the US and the UK of spreading misinformation. The Russia-Ukraine situation is heating up with the North Korean factor. Washington reported that 10,000 North Korean troops have been deployed to confront Ukrainian forces. On October 31, US officials announced that up to 8,000 North Korean soldiers are currently present in Russia's Kursk province, expected to face Ukrainian forces in the coming days. Ukraine began its raid on Kursk at the beginning of August. An anonymous Ukrainian official revealed that North Korean troops are currently stationed approximately 50 kilometers from the Russia-Ukraine border. Speaking alongside the US and South Korean defense ministers, US Secretary of State Blinken noted that the North Korean forces have been trained in artillery, UAVs, basic infantry operations, including trench clearing, indicating they are likely to be fully utilized for frontline combat. These warnings from the US and North Korea come as North Korea has recently tested what it calls the world's most powerful strategic missile, which the US identifies as an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM. The US and its allies are currently considering how to respond to the increased military cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang. At a press briefing on October 31, US Secretary of Defense Austin stated, We are in close consultation with allies and partners in other countries in the region about these developments and our response. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken mentioned that the U.S. would provide additional military aid to Ukraine in the coming days. Secretary of Defense Austin expressed confidence that Ukraine would maintain control over Kursk, even with the arrival of North Korean reinforcements for Russian forces. Ukrainian President Zelensky also warned on October 31 that North Korean forces would be pushed back and face casualties. On the same day, Secretary Blinken and Secretary Austin called on China to use its influence over North Korea to prevent these moves. Blinken noted that the U.S. is highly concerned about the possibility of Russia helping to enhance North Korea's military capabilities. However, South Korea's defense minister did not announce any changes to South Korea's long-standing policy prohibiting the sale of weapons to conflict zones, including Ukraine. Both the US and Ukraine have urged South Korea to reconsider this policy. When asked if South Korea had plans to supply ammunition to Ukraine indirectly, Kim Jong-un responded, "At this time, nothing has been decided."